Welcome, and thank you all for joining us for this episode of the Crexi Podcast, an insider's look at all things commercial real estate. In this show, we cater to a broad range of topics that cater to commercial real estate newcomers and industry leaders alike. I'm your host, Yannis Papadakis, Business Development Manager on Crexi's auction platform, and today we are thrilled to sit down with Larry and Michael Bergman of NAI Bergman. A little bit about our guests. Laurence Bergman, a founding member of NAI Bergman, is a licensed real estate broker in Ohio, Kentucky, and Georgia. Larry oversees business and client development, NAI Bergman licensee supervision, acquisition, disposition representation, and engages in transactional activity. Larry is a consistent award winner in commercial real estate. In 2014, he was selected by the Midwest Real Estate News Commercial Real Estate Hall of Fame. He was awarded NAI Global's President's Award, Eastern U.S. Markets. The President's Award recognizes leadership, teamwork, and business generation. Out of 400 NAI Global affiliates, NAI Bergman was nominated for Company of the Year and was recipient of the Eagle Award, Major Markets U.S. Larry has been consistently recognized with multiple industry awards, including multiple Crexi Platinum Awards, and was also recognized by the Cincinnati Business Courier as top 10 commercial real estate brokers. Through Larry's community efforts, NAI Bergman was selected as the 2012 Blue Ash Business Advocate of the Year. Larry has a broad range of commercial real estate experience and his knowledge is extensive. He repeatedly proves worthy to those he comes in contact with. Beyond brokering transactions, Larry is a principal in a real estate development and investment business. He served as chairman of the Greater Cincinnati Commercial Real Estate Council and has also served on the Lands Commission in the United States federal courts. At NAI Bergman, Michael Bergman has a wide-ranging experience including retail, industrial, office, land, and development transactions, as well as tenant and owner representation. In addition, Michael provides receiver services for NAI Bergman. Published in several areas, he is the co-author of The Broker's Manual, a guide to tenant. Published in several areas, he is the co-author of The Broker's Manual, a guide to tenant representation. An attorney by training and admitted to practice in Arizona, Michael has been involved in commercial real estate for over a decade in both Georgia and Ohio. Michael represents national shopping center owners, international retailers, large office owners, and office tenants. He has worked closely in numerous complex transactions that have proved successful. Currently on the brokerage side, Michael is engaged in work involving student housing developers, national senior housing groups, regional breweries and restaurant groups, and several REITs. Additionally, he's been working closely as receiver with NAI Bergman's management team to stabilize several properties and optimize them for future ownership. Bergmans, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Well, I'm excited to have you both here. You're such a well-known name in the industry, and we've covered a little bit about your background, but I'd love to briefly hear a little more about your career path and lessons you learned along the way. Larry, you've been in business for over 35 years. What initially drew you to commercial real estate, and why stay in it?
It's the only job I could find. Well, actually, I went to get my undergraduate degree in real estate and urban development at Syracuse, and while I wasn't initially involved in real estate, I was in another family business. I did eventually focus strictly on real estate. Began initially developing real estate. Saw that there was a need for brokerage activity, and we developed a brokerage business. And we used the brokerage business as a platform to build our development business initially. And what happened was as the brokerage business grew, and it became its own entity.
Nice. And Michael, how about your entry into commercial real estate? Your background is in law. What inspired your transition to CRE?
It took a while. I know Larry and I talked about it right after college, and it took a while. I had a couple different paths. Prior to coming to commercial real estate, I had worked in the branding and design world, and then in the startup world, and then finally came into commercial real estate about a decade ago.
And how has your legal experience kind of shaped your approach?
It's definitely helpful. Helps me look at deals and issues in a different way, probably than folks that didn't go through law school. I try not to practice law at all, so that's always good. But it's a good kind of filter to look at documents, deals, negotiations. So it's become very helpful.
And for both of you, who were some of your mentors along the way or influential people that influenced your career?
For me, it really was my father who began in real estate. I initially worked for my father and learned quite a bit of, how to develop real estate, and that would be my mentor. There was also other relatives involved, and frankly, anyone I come in contact with, I try and learn what I can about real estate and about relationships. And frankly, the real estate business is really a relationship business. It's developing friendships, and these friendships lead to opportunities. And I can't say that there's any one specific person after family, but it's really everyone I've ever come in contact with. I try and learn from.
Yeah, I think I'd echo, Larry's sentiments. Obviously, it's family. I think I've learned a enormous amount from Larry over the time working with him, just being a sponge and listening to him talk and share. Also, my father, Larry's older brother, who's a commercial real estate attorney, just been surrounded with, legal and real estate talk for decades of, and, consumed a lot of that. And he's been great. And then to Larry's point, I think we all try to learn from each of the deals that we do, and each take away something small from everything we do, and kind of add that to making our services stronger and our knowledge a little more deeper.
Would you mind sharing any early challenges that you may have had at the start of your career?
At the start of my career, the challenges were I didn't have access to a computer. That's number one. A fax machine was high technology, and I didn't even have a fax machine. I would run across the street to a friend's office and use his fax machine. And even today, I find that my abilities, technology-wise, is nothing like that compared to the newer generations that are in the industry. And I'm not saying that I'm old, but and I still think young, but my abilities to work as efficiently as others today work is limited. In other words, I don't use software to improve my business. I'm really focused just on relationships, and then I rely on people like Michael who understand and how to use the technology, including the technologies that Crexi has. And frankly, I do know how to use Crexi. I think it's one of the strongest platforms. I have and I highly recommend Crexi Pro to anyone that doesn't have it, that wishes to be successful in real estate and commercial real estate. That's my 2 cents. And I'm not doing an ad.
Checks in the mail. Thanks.
Yeah.
Michael, any early challenges that you feel like sharing?
I mean, I think probably whatever young broker goes through, that first year is very tough. The life cycle of a commercial real estate deal can be long sometimes. So I think that first year, getting ramped up, trying to grow your funnel, difficult, and it's something that I impress upon all of the brokers that come into our office, that you've got to get through that first year. Everybody talks about it, so I think that's obviously the first big thing, and then just wanting to run really fast and do deals, but you really got to learn. It takes years and years of just learning and failing and deals falling apart to really get that knowledge base that really gets you to a point where you really feel comfortable doing all types of deals.
I'd like to reiterate the time that Michael said the first year of a new practice or new career in real estate. I think any new broker has to look at it as a graduate degree. it's not a time that you're going to be making money. It's a time that you're going to be learning, and that's critical. If you think you're going to make it the first year, maybe the second year, it takes a good 24 months to build a base, and you got to be known. People have to know who you are.
Yeah. Can you recall any defining moments, or we'll call them favorite mistakes, that changed the course of your careers for the better?
I probably make mistakes every day, and I try and correct them. So I can't think of any. Probably in my earlier years, I would say getting to know the properties as well as I possibly could initially is helpful. I remember in my very beginning, I received an offer on a property that someone loved. It was farm property, and I literally showed him the wrong property. So what he made an offer on was something different than what it was, which was rather embarrassing. And I am humbled, and I don't do it today. So if anyone is looking to hire me, I actually know the property today.
I remember we were doing a lot of receiver work when I started, and I was doing BOVs, a lot of them. And part of the BOV process was that I would go and visit the property. So one of the properties was in Marietta, Ohio, which is about 3.5 hours away. And I thought it was in Marysville, Ohio, which is an hour and a half drive right near Columbus. So I said, sure, I'll go do it. Needless to say, 7 hours later, I learned my lesson to confirm the city that all the properties were in when I was doing BOVs. And I will never make that mistake again.
Now, NAI Bergman is a family business, and I'm wondering, how has working together influenced your approach to leadership and decision making?
I'm going to let Michael speak for that because he is actually the next generation.
I think a family business can be good and bad, right? There's a lot of people that you can trust walking around the offices, and then you're working with and you see and you've known all your life, so you know everything they share with you is in your best interest. And I think we try to share that with all the folks that are in the office that aren't family. We try to treat everybody like family and guide them as if they were a member of the family and watch them be successful, hopefully like a family member.
All right. Now, if you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Buy parking lots.
No, but as advice, everyone that's in commercial real estate has to look at every person they meet, every transaction they're involved in, as a way of being completely transparent, honest. They have to associate their name as if it's on the company door. And my success is not necessarily driven on what I know about real estate. It's based on relationships and building friendships. And that's what gets repeat business. And if there's a lesson learned, you'll come across people that aren't going to necessarily be fair. Recognize who they are, but you always have to be first class and treat people respectfully, transparently, and you'll find your growth start that out. You'll find success for the many years ahead.
Yeah.
I think sorry. I was going to say to Larry's point, I think the fact that our names are actually on the door makes us hold ourselves to a higher level of service in the community. I think Larry's major theme that he likes sharing is that we treat people fairly. We're very transparent, and this is a family multi-generational business. So I think we try to hold ourselves to a very high level of service, of transparency and of honesty, because this is we use this as a long-term relationship and a long-term game. This is not just doing a quick transaction. And I've tried to share that with brokers who see a quick commission that may not be in the best interest of their client, that it's not about the quick client and it's not about the quick deal right now. It's about doing, to Larry, I know he's done it year after year, multiple deals for the same client, because they trust you, they'll call you, they'll refer you. And it really is, that's how we become successful, is doing well and doing right by the clients.
And I mean, on that note, I'm going to shift gears a little bit. I'd love to talk about NAI Bergman and how you've built and scaled a business in an evolving industry. What was the original vision behind NAI Bergman, and how has it evolved over the years?
It initially began with myself and a brother-in-law who we were managing family real estate interests. We were in other fields. Our family had a manufacturing business that was sold. We had retail business that we liquidated or sold, and we needed to find a new career. So we were fortunate that our family had real estate for us to manage. We saw that we needed to also fill a lot of real estate, so we went ahead and got licensed in real estate, and we decided to focus on building a brokerage business, which initially began as Bergman Group, and it comprised of really just family members. As my brother-in-law Steve Adler and I began the business, we had my brother Tom Bergman, who's Michael's father. He's an equal partner, and another brother-in-law, Dan Feigelson. They all came into the business, each serving different interests. Tom is an attorney and helped build the business. Dan is a strong financial background, having been with a large public company as a head of capital markets, and we all did separate. We all got involved in the business, growing it. With the business growing and started buying real estate, I saw an opportunity with the broker's license to help friends of mine with their real estate needs and their property. We had a small property management business initially, and we began to grow that. And then our friends started asking us to serve help them with real estate needs. So a brokerage business grew. That continued for probably 10 to 15 years, and I saw an opportunity to pick up a brand to help build our business, and that was the NAI Global Network brand. And there was a large operation in Cincinnati that we were able to acquire that interest, and that took us to being NAI Bergman. And then we have a number of brokers. I think today we have approximately 22 brokers involved with our business.
Now, on that note, as it's grown from a family business to the large company and successful brokerage that it is now, how has that changed, and how do you maintain company culture throughout growth like that?
We still come to work every day. We don't work from home. We work from an office, and we make it fun. We make it enjoyable. And what's great about real estate is, this is my view, is we're in a business where we don't have to pay for our inventory. We get to use everyone else's inventory and get a percentage out of it by helping. And that's a great business. I don't know what else it's fun. It's enjoyable.
Yeah. Now, Michael, you co-authored the Broker's Manual. What are some of the most important principles new brokers need to grasp to succeed?
I think, and I co-authored that with Tom, my father, and Larry. So I used a lot more of their foundation and knowledge as we built this. But I think, the keys for young brokers is making sure that you watch the details. There's a lot of details that come with doing transactions and tenant rep, and you can't make up things on the fly as many brokers want to try. That you need to make sure that you understand your client's needs. You need to understand how the deal needs to be structured to best fit their needs, and be honest with them. I think that you can't make up things to try to get a deal done. I think, which is a theme we try to live by. So I think the goal of the book was really to give a good primer for a new tenant rep broker to really get a feel for what transactions look like that they may not see if they didn't read this, 3 or 4 years down the road doing 50 or 60 transactions. So hopefully it's a good asset. I know a lot of our brokers have found the book and some of the templates that we use in it to be very helpful. So, which has been fun to see.
What would you say separates a top performing agent from the rest?
A drive. I think this is a business where it really is on you. You can be as successful as you want to be. You just need to put in the work and really desire to be successful in the business and not wait for somebody to come dropping a listing on your desk. I think if you are out there making calls, making relationships, following up on folks on their inquiries, I think you'll be successful. I have seen a lot of brokers in the market who take several days to return calls or emails, even to me, who I do lots of deals with them, and it hurts me to see brokers take so long to get back when a deal could be in their grasp. So I think we try to get our young brokers to realize you can be successful. All you have to do is do the right thing. Call people back, email them, and want to be successful.
Yeah.
Is really part of it.
It's
Follow
interesting.
through is key.
Oh, go ahead. Follow through. I was going to say, on the auction side of things, you can tell, you can easily set yourself apart just by replying quickly and efficiently, because people take note and they'll reply, "Wow, thanks so much for getting back to me so quickly." It must speak to how many people, put it off and take so long to get back, that people will comment, "Wow, I appreciate you getting back so quickly," because it's uncommon. So it's a quick and easy way to set yourself aside. And
Oh, totally. I think I can't tell you how many clients I've had. They come from a lead, or somebody give me a Post-it note with a number, and I'll call them right back, and they'll be like, "I didn't expect you to call me. I've been trying to get somebody to respond to my inquiry on this building from another brokerage for weeks or months." So super easy thing to do, and you're right. I mean, especially in the auction area, you being on top of it and you getting back to people and getting them answers right away. I mean, it speaks volumes of you and hopefully the deal that you're presenting.
Absolutely. Now, shifting a little bit, Michael, this is a technology question, so I'm going to direct it to you. What role does technology play at NAI Bergman, and how do you decide what tools are worth implementing into the brokerage?
I think, the great thing is Larry says he's not tech savvy, but Larry is pretty good about adopting of technology and trying a new technology. I think one of his strong suits really is open to trying new things. So we've cycled through a lot of different technology throughout the office to try to give our brokers the best information, the most ability to get good leads, all those things. So I think we're open to trying technology out and seeing how it is adopted throughout the office and if it provides an ROI. We use a lot of data providers, Crexi included, to try to give our brokers as much insight and skills when they're trying to get a deal done, whether it's listing a property or doing tenant or owner rep. And I think technology, it keeps getting faster and faster with AI. Every day I see something new that interests me on how we can apply it to real estate.
Absolutely. Any exciting tools or levers you've implemented into your business, and if you mind sharing how they've helped you succeed?
I started using a cell phone recently. It's amazing technology.
They're pretty
It's
useful.
funny because Larry was probably the first adopter of the bag phone back in the 1980s, right?
I would still love to have a bag phone. I'd love to go to a meeting with it.
I think the technology that I've been working on using more is things to streamline our process. The nice thing about real estate, once you get to a certain level, is that you see it's a template. The deals are templatized. There's an A, B, and C process it's going to go through, and until you've done enough deals, you don't realize it really, the cadence of the deal. So I think more and more, the brokers that I'm close with and work with daily, we've been trying to work and use technology to really templatize and make everything really efficient and really easy, whether that's using Canva for designs because it allows the brokers to spin up stuff without having to wait for a third party to do something, whether it's using Slack for communications and tracking, our CRM, which every broker says they love to use but nobody likes to use because it's too anti-broker. But I think that's my goal for 25 is really to be efficient and use AI as a tool to help me be more efficient, whether it's redrafting, emails or et cetera.
So how do you see the role of brokers evolving in a world that's increasingly driven by data and technology?
I think at the end of the day, it's still a relationship game. I mean, you see residential housing probably moving more towards a residential brokerage, I should say, moving more towards getting rid of the broker to a degree, making it an easy transaction. But commercial real estate still is a relationship game, whether it's knowing the owners of the buildings or the investors that may be selling something, or how the landlord likes to structure deals, whatever. Technology is great for giving you, the first step in the door or getting you information that you need. But I think at the end of the day, this business really comes down to relationships. I think we've probably harped on that probably too much, but it really is. There's kind of that, seeing those deals over and over again. What's coming down the pike or how to get something across the finish line, and I don't think AI can really do that.
Right. What do you see as the biggest challenges for brokers in today's market, and how do you help navigate that?
I think AI being thrown at everybody, every broker, every platform we have has AI in it. So I think for the younger brokers, the thought of them taking a shortcut and just using AI for everything is a shiny object. And I've been trying to share with them that you need to make sure you double check things, make sure everything looks right and sure it sounds good, that your listing, even though you used AI to write a description for it, make sure you read it and you understand it, because if you don't understand it, no third party's going to understand it.
Now, pivoting and on the topic of tech, I'd love to connect on commercial real estate auctions, as it has become a more widely utilized tool with more and more brokers and sellers having access to online auctions. On our prep call, you mentioned that auctions have become a bigger part of your strategy recently. Why do you see this as the right time to expand into auctions?
Well, I initially began in the auction platform doing live auctions. I got to see the struggles of getting the message out about a property and exposing it. And then for very early years, I actually worked with the founder of your company, worked with Anthony Gayton, and I still work with Anthony Gayton. When you're talking about responding quickly, when you have something that you want to put on auction, you reach Anthony, you'll get a call immediately. You either do that or you leave a message for Anthony, you have a check for him. He'll call you right away. But no, actually, he will call right away. But with auctions, I've seen it evolve to technology of auctions is really a tool. It has the ability to set standards of how quickly one can close on a property. It's a very easy sale for us to explain to people the benefit of auction. It becomes actually a bidding tool, not necessarily an auction tool. It's not a matter of selling properties at a discount or properties that are in trouble. We use it as a tool to sell any type of property, and through the platform, through the auction platform, technology wise, we can expose it to the world.
Yeah, and I think that's probably one of the biggest misconceptions about auctions is that it's for, the deals with hair, the dogs with fleas. I think people really don't realize how many, quality properties can benefit from an online auction process where, whoever wants it the most will end up identifying themselves and pay the most on a level playing field of, everybody has got the same terms, right? It's the same purchase agreement, and it's who's willing to stretch the most on pricing, and that can benefit any type of property.
That's correct.
Yeah, I think that's one of the preconceived notions is that it is just for distressed properties. Um, we've seen a lot of success with the opposite end of that spectrum, right? I mean, people are just looking for a new way to find property and a new way to get exposed to property, and I think auctions have been a great way for us to do that. I think to your question of why now, um, we've had a bunch of clients that have been sitting on properties for 6 months that have been on the market, good properties, and they just haven't gotten the right local eyeballs on it or regional eyeballs on it. And the nice thing that auctions do is allow us to essentially pour gasoline on the marketing with a platform, like Crexi Auctions, right? It's getting tens of thousands of new eyeballs on it throughout that marketing period, which is great.
Yeah.
And I think
And
everybody's really happy with that.
now, how about for buyers? What benefits do you see for investors in the auction arena?
I think if you're a buttoned up buyer that has a good underwriting process and knows what you like, there's some great opportunities to do some deals. Um, I think the nice thing about the auction is that as a broker that does a nice amount of auctions, we try to put as much information as possible in that due diligence vault so that we can get really solid buyers coming through that feel comfortable buying the asset. So I think if you're on that other side, you're buying and you have a good way of going through due diligence vaults quickly and efficiently, I think you can probably find a lot more diamonds in the rough than the average person that just kind of gleaning what's coming across auction screens.
What would you say about the transparency in terms of a buyer? And you know, one of the things, if you submit an offer to a deal that's just listed, right, it kind of goes into a vacuum, right? And with the auction, you can see everybody's offer in real time. Do you think that has weight when it comes to being a buyer in today's market? That your relationship with anyone doesn't matter here, right? It's you've underwritten the deal, you've got the due diligence, and you're bidding. Could you speak to that a little bit?
I'm going to back up a little bit. I think one of the most important advantages of auction is for a seller, the buyer's already been qualified when they go up to the auction. We as a seller know that they have the financial capability of closing. They understand the terms that they must deal with. Many times they're more sophisticated than someone that's just getting into real estate. There's a lot of time savings for us as a broker representing the interest of a seller. For the buyer, I don't know that it's necessarily an advantage, but they're looking for a specific type of property to invest in. They know that seller is going to have to transact at a certain number. They may not know what that number is, being a hidden reserve, and all the other mechanisms that are involved in a auction. But you're getting uh, you're getting real people that you're spending time with. You're not spinning your wheels.
Right.
Yeah, you cut out all that back and forth. You cut out all the
There's minutia.
extensions, all the stuff that that bogs down deals, and the one truth that I learned very on is that time kills deals. This kind of gets rid of that. Lets us cut all the fat away from a deal and go from zero to close in what, 3 months?
Yeah. Yeah. 75 days, 80
Yeah.
days, give or take. So, yeah, there definitely is a lot of efficiency there. I'm curious, how does NAI Bergman leverage its national network and technology to make auctions more effective?
I mean, I think the nice thing about the NAI network is that how it's built. There's a lot of offices in primary, secondary, and tertiary markets, and we have relationships with most of the principals in all of those markets. So we can get an auction, a new listing out in front of all those folks that all have a good bench of investors that are looking for assets, maybe not, that doesn't exist in their market. So we can easily get our listings out quickly. And the nice part is that the folks running the office in each town usually have their name on the door, just like ours. So that they've got a reason to be, driven and to get deals done and to do the best for their clients.
Would you mind sharing a recent auction success story and walk us through what made it work?
I think one that Larry and I worked on together recently was a condemned hotel that was sitting on a nice parcel of ground that had fallen out of contract, I believe, a couple times. Larry, is that right?
That is correct.
So we worked with the auction team to put this dilapidated hotel up, and it was in an up and coming area of Cincinnati. It had a lot of issues and had some, because it was needed demo work, lots of demo work, needed a lot of grading, those kind of things, and we put it up on the auction, and we had a large amount of interest, a ton of CAs signed, really strong offers. We got a good return for our client. They were very happy with the number that we got them. And, 2 weeks later, probably after it closed, the building came down, the city was happy, our seller was happy, the buyer's happy. So it was a nice success for everybody, and it worked really efficiently, which was a lot of fun to see.
Not everyone was happy. It was filled with vagrant. We had all sorts of people living in these rooms. We would go visit it with. It was quite an experience.
That too. You'd get some surprises every time you did a tour.
Oh, gosh. Any trends that you see shaping the future of real estate auctions in the next few years?
I mean, I think we'd like to see us doing more of them. I think the efficiency really is great for the business and for our clients. As for like asset classes, it feels like just from what we see inquire from calls and emails and discussions, it feels like office is coming back to a degree, and if you can buy office at the right number, there's really a nice amount of upside there.
For a seller, they can list a property or they can go to the auction platform. There are cost savings to using the platform as a bidding tool. In the cost of brokerage fees, the ability to close quickly. It really is going to be becoming more of a tool that isn't to. It's a tool to expose properties and the mechanism to buy it. And I think what it does is you get much more accurate information up front that becomes memorialized in a vault that buyers will look at. They know that they're relying on this information. It's better be correct. I just see it more as a tool that's going to be used for all types of sales.
Right. What would you say the biggest lesson you've learned from running auctions that most brokers don't understand?
I view auctions as a sprint. People talk about, things are, this is as a marathon. This is a sprint. You need to be really ready to go from day one. And I think you need to work well with the auction platform team. I think over the Crexi auctions we've done, we have a really good relationship with all the team members, and we work well in contacting everybody. I think that's the biggest thing that I think brokers need to learn when doing an auction, is that this is a quick turnaround deal. You need to make every call. You need to touch base with every inquiry, every CA sign, probably 2-3 times. And if you're not doing that, then you're not doing your client the right service. And I think it's been great for my history with Crexi that they team up with us and making sure that everybody feels, as an interested party, that they feel that they are getting treated well, that they're getting their questions answered, and getting all the data they can, so that we can have a really successful auction at the end of the day. Because if we don't bring buyers to the table, it reflects poorly on us, it reflects poorly on everybody. So part of that job is to make sure that you're really in it and ready for the sprint, because it's going to be 45 days from start to finish, and you got to be ready to go.
Yeah, and speaking on my side on the auction platform, I think a common misconception is, you put it up for auction, you set it and forget it, and it's really not the case. I mean, these deals don't sell without a broker that understands the deal and the market. We actually require on every deal, you need to have a licensed broker on the deal. We don't do any for sale by owner properties because, frankly, they wouldn't sell. You
Yep.
need somebody that understands the real estate, understands the market, can speak to that, and understands how to, motivate these buyers, these bidders, into not only participating, but understanding the real value of the asset that's there. So it is a team effort from beginning to end. And I think that's probably one of the things that somebody that maybe has never done an auction before might not understand. It's, this is an enhancement tool for your business, right? It's not something that you just, drop in a bucket and, hopefully 75 days later you collect a check. There's still, that collaboration, that teamwork that goes all the way from beginning to end. So, it's nice to, not surprising that you would have a firm grasp on that.
And I think for those buyers, it takes a lot more touch points with them, and it takes a little bit more, getting them comfortable, because this is an auction process and not an LOI to a due diligence period. This is something they have to feel comfortable with you in being truthful to them about the property, and giving them as much information and answers as quickly as they want them and need them, and making sure that they're comfortable when the day comes at auction day. And then the other piece is too, that the lesson I learned early on in one of my first couple auctions, is like setting expectations for everybody, sellers, buyers, everybody understand how the day is going to go down, where the people's budgets are, just so everybody is not disappointed at the end of the day, and we can get to something successful.
Now, I'd also like to briefly cover broader commercial real estate trends in 2025 and beyond, and tap into your specific expertise on the market. What's your current high-level assessment of commercial real estate market? I'll take that back. What's your current high-level assessment of the current commercial real estate market as we head into 2025?
Over the first probably quarter, the quarter so far, I've definitely seen an uptick across the board, whether it's in leasing, in buying and selling as well. So I take that as hopefully a good sign for the year to come. Definitely, like I noted before, I think we've seen a lot more office deals getting done than definitely last year. And at this point tracking, I think we have more deals probably under contract than we did at this point last year too. So I'm hopeful that 25 is a strong year for our firm, and hopefully the industry.
Are there any trends you think will have the biggest long-term impact on the industry?
I think you still see, and people have been talking about this, the conversion of the office, what comes next for office buildings in the suburbs that have been left vacant. So in the Cincinnati market, you've started to see the conversions happen to residential, which has a trickle down effect for taking office off market. So when people are looking at office, the ones that are vacant are getting filled up faster. So I think it'll be interesting to see how that kind of waterfalls across the market. But I've been optimistic with that happening in Cincinnati.
Do you think there's any fears or concerns that are being overblown?
I I don't look at I don't look at I don't live with fear. I live with opportunity. We're in ever changing markets, and we have to adapt. And we shouldn't get caught up with the things that the sky is falling. There are challenges in every business. There are challenges in real estate. We just adapt to it.
Yeah, I think it leads to the opportunity that somebody says to view it with a different lens. That if people are selling, maybe that's the time to buy. I think when I got into the business, it was post the 2008 crash. I think the people that were able to buy then were the ones that did the best in the following decade, because they had such a great basis and were unwavering in real estate investing. So I think if people see perhaps an area or an industry maybe falling apart, maybe that's the time to really get in and really dive in and look at it as an opportunity.
Now, how are rising insurance costs impacting transactions? Are you seeing that coming into the conversation during deal making and negotiations? What's your take on it?
Insurance impacts real estate. The ability to get insurance dictates what happens with multifamily and other areas of southern markets. But all costs affect a transaction. We live with inflation. We have to look at rents, and we have to keep up with inflation. It's a difficult to point out just insurance. It's every bucket of expenses that you deal with, you have to address.
Right. Now, how do you see AI and technology shaping investment decisions in the next few years?
I don't have enough knowledge about AI, except they do. For some reason, you can tell when something is created through AI. It sounds too good. People don't speak that way. Most human beings make mistakes in their sentence structure. It's not natural. I like reading cryptic messages. I love reading emails that make no sense. That's exciting to me. I like seeing misspelling. It may be a wonderful tool, but that's all it is.
Right.
I mean, I think it's a tool to help you get deals done faster. I mean, I think it helps the analysis and the underwriting portion get done quicker. I think it allows folks to absorb a lot of information quickly, whether that's reviewing leases, going through past financials, all those pieces that would take hours upon hours of analysis. This allows it to be done quickly, and so hopefully it gets deals done quicker. Hopefully to the back to the auction piece. Hopefully as you layer that in, it can get stronger due diligence, vaults built, more better underwriting as well, and people more comfortable with doing deals.
Now, what asset classes do you think present the best opportunities right now, and where are investors missing hidden potential?
Hidden potential. I think something's back to be said about the office space. B office, have some money put in for TI, and really we've had a lot of success personally in a B office building that our family has, and breaking it down into small suites, 2,000 to 3,000 square feet, with TI, and we've had really good success with tenants coming in and doing deals, because it fits the need of the market. The people that want to be back in the office but aren't fully committed yet, but want some space to get out of their house and get out of their put on a reason to put on real clothes versus sweats. So I think there's opportunity to be said there.
Nice. Now, finally, given your background and experience, I'm sure our listeners are curious about your answers to a few of our favorite rapid fire words of advice questions. You ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Try.
If you're given $50 million today and you had to invest it immediately, what would your go-to asset type and location be, and why?
Larry, you want to go first?
Bank. I'd be happy with the 50 million.
I think I'd go for. I think it's become hot. The local strip centers.
Yeah.
I think it's something that everybody always needs. It's always going to need tenants, and people always need to go to the dry cleaner and go pick up dinner. In the area we're in the Midwest, we see a lot of success of investors coming to the Midwest from the coast just because of more stability. So I think within a 300-mile radius of Cincinnati would be perfect for us.
Nice.
I look at the credit of, I don't have any one specific type of real estate that I necessarily invest in. I look at the credit of the tenant. I look at the length of a lease. I look at the ability to keep up with inflation. And I look at the return I can get on my cash that I'm investing in the real estate. And I'm looking at what type of borrowing I can get. And can I fully amortize that borrowing over a term of a lease? So we are very conservative buyers when we do get involved in real estate.
Nice.
But
Now, what's
50
the
million
craziest-
would be nice.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm kind of with you, straight to the bank, maybe a little bit of Bitcoin, but what's the craziest way you found a new client, either social media or otherwise?
I'm sure Larry has some good stories.
I mean, the craziest way, there was a very, I was reading in the Wall Street Journal about a new business industry. This is in the early 80s. And I reached out to the client and I found the guy's name and he actually answered the phone. And I said, it was an amusement business. And I called the gentleman and I said, Cincinnati's boring and we need you. And I have a perfect location for you. You want to take a look at it? And he got on the plane and met me. And we did a transaction. To this day, this tenant has been with us over 30 years.
Wow.
So, and it was a sizable square footage.
Is it an amusement park or what?
It was a amusement business, one of the well-known video gaming businesses that are out there.
Nice.
And the guy's name was Dave.
Oh, okay. Well, not to. We'll let the listeners figure that one out on their own. Do you have a favorite tool or software that you use on the job? And I promise it's not a trick question.
Besides Crexi, I've really gotten into using Slack. One of our team members started me on using Slack, and I've really enjoyed that. It's helped me try to be as efficient and organized as possible, which is not my strong suit. Larry's is his Apple Watch.
I don't have a way of answering that question.
Now, finally, what is the most common misconception about your job or industry?
That I sell houses. That I mean, my kids, they don't understand what I do. They're young, so they don't understand. They see my sign, the signs with our names on it, and they don't understand. They think we own all the buildings that we have signs on. So, trying to explain to a 7-year-old about commercial real estate is sometimes fun.
It's not an easy business. You have to work hard to be successful in this industry.
Yeah, I mean, back to that, like that. This is a long timeline. Unlike houses trading every day, commercial real estate, back to that first year, it takes 18, 24 months to get going. That it's not super easy to break in and start doing well right away.
Well, as we wrap up, any parting words you'd like to share with our listeners?
If you need a good broker, please reach out to us. My phone number is... Now, actually, really, parting words were, and you were nice enough to have us on your broadcast, is what I reiterated earlier, that Crexi is a very important tool. It's not the end-all of all the software that you would need in your bit practice, but it is one of the tools you need to be successful in commercial real estate.
I'd say, just thank you for having us on. This was fun, and I enjoyed talking with you guys.
Well, thank you for joining us and sharing your insights. I know you're very busy, so I appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk with us. Where can people get in touch if they want to reach out? Email, social media?
Email's always the best, probably, for both of us.
My answer is simply call my cell phone. I'm happy to answer any time of the day. I mean, you got to be accessible.
Give the people your cell phone number.
My cell phone number is 513-515-5488. And if you're looking to be entertained, I'll try and do that.
Well, thank you again, and thanks to everyone who tuned in. If you enjoyed this episode, do not miss the next one. You can visit Crexi.com/podcast to sign up and get the next episode delivered straight to your inbox. Of course, you can also subscribe to the Crexi Podcast on your favorite podcast app or visit our YouTube channel for videos of each episode. Take care, and be sure to tune in next time.